Hey, welcome to the DBB channel, and today we're going to dive into the red side of the Shy BT. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about the two deck lists that you can actually possibly create with this Shy red color set. Alright, so first up will be the Shy deck list, basically herself. Alright, so first up we're going to run the Eco, and Eco is just a very simple on play, choose up to one other character in the area plus 1k during this turn, and does have an active trigger. So it is also 500 BP. And the nature of this deck is actually going to just rush down your opponent because they have so many on-play active kind of cards. And it kind of remind me of Hinata from Haikyuu. Basically with that kind of synergy whereby, it really makes your opponent feel a bit uneasy, playing against you. Okay, so you run 12 zeros because 12 0 is like my favorite consistency. And we're going to play Pepesha here. Mainly because it's just a 2k and an active trigger. Just a pretty good stats, and because of the nature of the deck, like I mentioned just now, you're just going to be rushing against your opponent, so you definitely need this kind of strong stats. Next, we're going to run Shy herself, alright, basically Teru. So it's a very simple on play draw on its card one, and mainly because also it's a Shy, you can actually rate on it for the later cards. It does have a very good draw trigger as well. Okay, so next we do have Kushikawa Eco, Shy, and of course if you do have an Eco on your area, this character get plus 1k BP, so for one cost it's a 3k, and it does have a draw trigger. Enough said, this card is just pretty strong for its 1 energy. Next we do have a Step Shy, 213, 3k basically, and an active trigger. Nothing too much to say about this card aside that, it's going to be a very strong rush card in the early game. Next we do have another Eco, double energy at that, and it's actually the color trigger, so this just means that it has to be played in the deck. Alright, so on play, look at top 4 cards of your deck. We have review up to one Shy card, add it to your hand. Then if you add a card to your hand, and then you just place one card from your hand to the outside area. Nothing too much to say about this card aside from the fact that it's a double energy and it's 3k BP, so it can be used to push up to the front line in desperate moments, and then of course playing this Eco to actually make it 4k, able to swing at your opponent. And surprisingly, alright, there's an eco rate as well. So it's a very interesting effect. So when in energy line, alright, at the end of your attack phase, choose up to one Shy on your energy line and move it to the front line. So Shy, with its true nature of the name, actually is going to be Shy at the end of the attack phase because it will go back to the energy line for some. Alright, so basically Eco gave her the confidence to push it up. So that's pretty nice. Alright, so on play, you can actually play up to one Shy. Other than a Teru, with required energy of 4 or less and AP cost of 1 from a hand to the area rested or raided. Okay, so very interesting. You basically raid and then you plus 1 more body to the field. And you can activate main, choose one other character on your area, and it gets plus 1k BP during this turn. So it can't plus to herself, but it's a double energy. And sometimes you can see this card as just a double energy, you don't have to raid it. Just play to the back line, and then you are going to be good to go. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the cards that really define this deck. Shy herself. So at the end of this character's attack, you can move this character to the energy line. Alright, so it's mandatory. So then on play, if you have an Eco in your area, set this character to active. Okay, so that's pretty nuts already. It's a 3-1-3. And once per turn, activate main. Can only be activated if there are 4 or more characters on your opponent front line. It's a 4k attacker. Nothing much to say about this card aside from the fact that the requirement to be active is amazing. It actually does move to the energy line at the end of the attack. So in the early game kind of idea, when you do use this card to attack and swing, it does have a mandatory step which protects from your opponents from interacting it, and then you can actually push it out the next turn as well. But however, one can consider that it's every turn you have to step back and you can create one hole for yourself. So I would say the idea is to have this Eco at the back line to actually move out the Shy once again, so that your opponent will have to deal with the 4 bodies again. Okay, the next Shy card is the red target, and this character cannot be blocked by 4k above and higher because it's actually a 3.5k body, so it can only be blocked by 3.5k cards. And of course, it will actually die during the battle. On play, you can choose up to one character in an area and give it plus 1k. Pretty, I would say, normal. But when attacking, if there's a space on your front line, you can choose up to one character on your energy line and move it to the front line. So I would say the idea is that you swing with this Shy first, you move to the energy line at the end of the attack, then you swing with the other Shy, and the Shy will actually, because you do have an empty space in the front line already, you can push out one of your other cards to the front line. So effectively making yourself having 5 attacks with this deck. And of course, we do have the other Shy. On play, you may set this character to active, 4-on-4 active, enough said. However, it does have if you have 2 or less other hero trait cards with required 4 energy or more in your area, this character gains at the end of the attack phase, return this character to your hand. So it can actually, or rather it's supposed to be played with the other hero kind of heavy energy deck. But however, in this Shy deck alone, having been able to just aggressively play cards in active and swing your opponent is really the idea of rushing your opponent down. And of course, when you rush your opponent down, your opponent will be playing very defensively against you. And sometimes this kind of aggressive deck, they actually lose the tempo or gas very fast. And that's why we actually need to run this kind of card. So basically, choose one character in your area, it gets plus 2 KBP. Now, if the chosen character is Shy, you can give it impact plus 1. So it's actually stackable. And I'm not going to run more than 2 copies, is because the idea is that rushing your opponent, you do really need to have consistency of board. So this is just a game ender, but not not the way you should win games consistently, right? Because even if you cast 4 of this spell, basically called as the Fire of Courage on your own character, it gets impact plus 4. Opponent could just simply not block and it'll just be 1 attack still. So that's actually a pretty interesting way to see impact plus 1. And of course, we're going to play the special, a very interesting special whereby you do need Eco and Shy to make it 5k or less. And of course, just the final. So overall, this deck is actually pretty straightforward, I would say. And of course, there are other Shy cards to consider to play. And we do have this one on play. This character was played by a character effect, draw 1 card. And I can only really see Eco being the one spawning the Shy. Alright, other than that, you can actually consider to play your other big energy cards or even play the Lady Black to actually add 1 red character with the red from your drop zone, basically the Shy itself. Other than that, the whole deck just really wants to be aggressive. Other than that, it doesn't really do too much. And of course, this is just part 1 of the deck, of the red deck. Alright, so we're going to dive right into the other deck. Okay, so the other deck will actually be the Manlong deck. Alright, so it's a very interesting, basically Mianlong, sorry, really concentrating on this card. Alright, on play against Impact 1, that's like the first idea of winning the game. Second effect, activate main, choose another character in your area, get plus 1 KBP. Pretty decent because you make all your weaker attacks become 4Ks easily. And the last effect, when attacking, choose up to 1 character on your opponent front line and give it this character cannot attack. Very annoying. Because if you choose not to block with that character or the body, your next turn that body is also quite useless unless you ready it and of course refresh the state. So this card is actually pretty nuts, I would say, given that it's only 4 energy, but it has 3 effects in one. Pretty solid card. Alright, so let's just go straight from the beginning. First card, we're gonna play Stardust, also known as called as Davy. Mainly because we're actually playing the red target of this card as well. And activate main, you can place 1 card from your hand to the outside area, and it's gain plus 1.5 KBP. This game, it can be a potential 3k attacker. And of course, you do have Manlong, which I introduced just now. It does give plus 1k, so it can be a 4k attacker in desperate times. And let's not forget, it does have a draw trigger. Next, we're going to play Shy here. Mainly because having the on-play draw 1 is card 1 is just a very welcome bonus. Every deck should have this card because it adds consistency to your deck, and additional draw triggers is always welcome. Of course, next we'll be playing Mianlong herself, being a red target, and of course having the get trigger. Next, we're going to play the Mianlong for the color. Alright, we're going to play 4 pieces. Very straightforward effect. It has a trait hero card with required energy of 4 or higher on your area. This character gets plus 1 KBP. So if you guys haven't already guessed, this deck's nature is to play towards the hero card with a required energy of 4 or higher in your area. Okay, so it's just going to be a 1-cost 3k attacker. And just now in Shy, we have something similar. So this card is just pretty nuts because you just have to tap it and give this card plus 1k. It hits 4k very easily. Next, we're going to play the Searchers. Alright, it's going to be called Uni Road. Alright, looking at the top 4 cards of our deck, we view up to 1 red trait hero, add it to your hand. And of course, if you add a card, you discard a card. It being a draw trigger is very nice, and it's just nerfed with 500 BP, so it's just a 1.5k instead of 2000. Pretty decent because you are just going to be finding your red targets, and the red target, especially the Mianlong one, is just too good. You definitely want to see it as soon as possible. Okay, next we do have Lady Black. double energy with a draw trigger, very nice. And on play, you can choose up to one other character in your area and get plus 1k during this turn. So with all these 1 cost 3k or 0 cost 3k bodies, they're gonna hit pretty hard if you give them the time to do so. Next, we're gonna play the Stardust Raid. On opponent turn, your opponent can choose this card with character effect or event card effects, unless they additionally place 1 more card from their hand to the outside area, making it very annoying to deal with. And if they don't deal with it, if there are 3 or more other hero trait with required 4 energy or above, this character gains damage too. So on paper, this does seem very strong and very sticky for your opponent, and it might look like it's very hard requirement to hit 3 or more other trait heroes with required energy of 4, because that means you need all the big bodies here. But however, they actually introduced this very interesting card called Lady Black. It reduces the energy required by 2, but it's actually a 4 energy on the field, even though it's just a 2 energy. And that's a very easy effect of activating main resting this card. Choose up to 1 other character in the area and plus 1k. So really allowing those 3k beaters to be reliable 4ks is just pretty nice. Alright. And of course, we do have another 4 energy card with not eat big 4 energy is Mian Long herself, reducing the energy required by this card by 1. So just a 3 energy on hand, but 4 energy on the field. And when attacking, if there are 3 or more other trait hero require energy 4 or higher, look at top 2 card of the deck. Basically just scry and then put the rest to the bottom. So it being double energy and it being 3k, you saw how many 1k buffers there are in this deck. It really helps to play to this deck synergy. And of course, it do have another Mian Long card, AP21. However, it does have an impact negate, so very good in the late game. And the other effect, choose up to 1 other hero trait with required 4 energy or higher and give it ×2 attack. And you might be thinking, what will it pair very well with? It actually pairs very well with 2 cards. Alright, first card E being Stardust, damage 2, attack 2, opponent is just going to be having a great headache. And of course, Mian Long herself, you can actually choose 2 of your opponent characters and it cannot attack next turn. So really helping you, already reducing your opponent's attacking phase for the next turn. And the only way they can actually put up the 2 more bodies to attack next turn is actually to raid them. And you're forcing a play from your opponent. So it's definitely going to make them very uncomfortable, very honest. Alright, next we're going to play this Stardust card, which upon looking at, it just screams amazing because it's a 4.5k body. And the effect is pretty simple. Alright, there are 3 or more other hero cards with required energy of 4 or more. Reduce the required energy of this card by 2. So it's going to be a 4 energy. It doesn't require a 6 energy to be played now with a 4.5k body and an active trigger of 3k. And looking through the whole Shy list, 4.5k bodies is really the nice spot because most of the cards interact with 4ks and 4.5k is able to block it very effectively. And looking at the deck, you do have a bunch of 4 energy already. Alright, we have himself, 4, Lady Black, 3, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, about 19 4-cost and above cards. What's not to like about it? Okay, next we are going to be playing the 4 special. And apologies for this, we're actually looking at 4 finals instead of this Mian Long card. Alright, so we're gonna put a final here. So what does this actually do? Choose 1 active Mian Long on your frontline rest seat, and if you did, draw 3 cards. Now, it might seem amazing, right, at the start, but honestly, it does really only pair well if you are able to raid the card instantly because you're resting a frontline Mian Long anyway, basically reducing 1 attack. And then the draw 3 card is nice, but I'm not too sure how well you actually play towards it. And with the whole deck being a bunch of bodies already and so reliable, I think it's better if you just take it that way. Now overall, I do prefer this deck list over the Shy deck list because I think for the Shy deck list with the whole rush concept, it's usually very overwhelming for the opponent in the first few turns. However, if you do not have the enough gas to actually overcome your opponents or end the game, your opponent usually will have a way to just build a wall and then just outlive you. Alright? But however, with this variant of the 4 energy heroes, they do have a better late game, especially in the form of Mian Long, Raid. We do have Stardust and a big Stardust body, and let's not forget about the impact negate and of course choosing 1 other hero to get attack ×2. Now this will be the deck list if you guys are interested in. And this will be the other deck list if you guys are interested in as well. Thank you guys for watching till the end, and do consider subscribing, dropping a like and a comment if you guys do enjoy the content.